Mr. Tlantla Kumede, who due to unforeseen circumstances could not be available to commence this meeting, but he will most probably join us some public hearing. So I will then be chairing. I am responsible for Petron Pipelines regulation, and I'm also a member of the electricity. Then to introduce members of the panel, I've got start off with Ms. Tembani Pukula, who is the chairperson of Regulation Subcommittee. Mr. Pukula.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for the introduction, Mr. Mkhize.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pukula. Understand. Let's then proceed to Madam Precious Bia, who is a member of the Electricity Subcommittee.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Sbia. Then have Madam.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. And good morning to.
Understood, Madam Massetti. Thanks. I hope all the members, other member also that could not join us is Advocate Tole, who is challenges. He might also join us later on. Newspapers as well as NERSA social media platforms, and facts and evidence to the energy regulator. This hearing is each, and 60 minutes have been provided to the AZAPO representatives because of the number. And 3, only members of the panel may ask questions to the presenters. However, members give or email the questions to Mr. Mabunda, MABUNDA, at NERSA. Decide on how to deal with those questions. Fourthly and lastly, the panel, the House rules for this meeting are: 1, please switch all cell phones to silent. Please mute when presenting to switch it on. I will also be switching on off mine for data sake. 4 presenters, 1 being 12 matches, and Comfort, Mertens, and MC Porter.
Thank you, Mr.
Yourself, Mr. Porter, as well as Mr. Mertens. He will also have to be sworn in when responding to those. Maybe we'll sway him at that point. Then, Mr. Porter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'd just like to know from your side if you've got any reservations.
No reservations at all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. For the record, please state your name, organization, and designation therein.
Ms. MC Buerta. I am an attorney with MC Buerta Incorporated, a presenting group, ASAC.
Thank you very much. To present for 15 minutes, and then please have a pen and paper ready so that you can be able to take just a round of questions, and then you can then be able to. I'll be switching off my video so that you can then proceed from your side. I appreciate if those presentations can be sent through to the Secretariat, especially present if any, and then we can be able to then move with speed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you please just share the email address with us? Then we can all make sure that it gets. Thank you. I will. Is the presentation visible, Mr. Chair?
Yes, it's visible. If you
presentation mode.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will then, just by way of an introduction, the ASAC is Association of Chambers. It was 19, and its objectives inter alia is to share information and best practice, collaborate on economic development projects, and to contribute to 11 business associations from 6 provinces. I'm not going to deal with all the members, but we collectively 7,000 members covering SMMEs to large corporations. Our membership issues between 80 and 90% of all non-preferential origin in South Africa, Mr. Chair. So we submit that it's determining tariffs for municipalities as they do consume. Mr. Chair. The consultation paper for the cost of supply framework for distributors, we believe, is a positive step. It's essential to comply with the EPP and where electricity income was used as a general income. There were is jeopardizing the sustainability of energy-intensive industries. In addition to the other quite substantial challenges being experienced by industry, the electricity pricing policy of 2000, it is unclear why it went wrong and whether the current cost of supply is capable or has been adjusted to take it and under the hand of the courts in terms of the judgment by acknowledges, and I will deal with that shortly. And the debatable at best, exclusively on the interaction between the Municipal Guideline, which is being consulted upon today, permissible, and that NERSA should follow two discrete, separate 4 years, and its obligation to comply with the directives of. So, Mr. Chair, the purpose of this public participation is in the consultation document, and it is focused and it states in terms of the municipal tariff approval process for the 23-24 financial year. To the determination of a new tariff determination that it claims in a number of instances which we list that, for example, it's a simplified, it seeks to consult on a simplified tool to be used to support a line with the High Court's structural mandamus, that NERSA is overhauling the regulation of all licensees in 24. That judgment was not appealed. With respect, Mr. Chair, that statement is incorrect. Tariff Guideline 2 and declared unlawful. Secondly, Mr. Chair, the invalidity of this from October 2022.
I'm looking at your 15 minutes. It's about to expire. So if you can just move with speed. I don't want to stop you.
Yes.
Move a bit quicker. Thank you.
It was suspended for 12 months. Electricity tariffs for the 24-25. Mr. Chair, I just lost my. Okay. Chair, the reasons for the suspension was threefold: to provide certainty when NERSA must adopt the cost-reflective method, to allow for practical issues when coming up with a cost-reflective method, which entails the consultative processes which were detailed in court and did not include this process, was to confirm the process that NERSA has to follow to eventually adopt for 24-25 guideline. These defects were outlined in summary, achieves the following. It states that the method is unlawful. NERSA is afforded an opportunity. It must rectify the stated defects. NERSA has to adopt that lawful method. NERSA must follow a lawful process. That process requires public consultation about the new method and all interested. The current consultation paper is. So based on that, we make the following submissions, Mr. Chair, following which we will draw conclusion. Formulation and adoption of a replacement methodology. 4, it requires public participation, including participation by consumers, if any proposed consultation at the end of March 2024. So in conclusion, Mr. Chair, the current method is unlawful but was suspended for 1 year. The current process is limited to the 23-24. The judgment requires a new methodology to be adopted. The new methodology entails a new consultative process for municipal tariff submissions during March 2024, but for the end of May 2020.
Thanks for the presentation, Mr. Botha. let's then proceed. Members, Mr. Botha, just get Madam Massetti, I note you. Who else? Okay, pose your questions, please.
Thank you, Chairperson, for the opportunity, and thank you, Mr. Boss. Two things for clarification, for me at least. Is it your understanding that the 12 months period of suspension 24, so that it can cover the and non-compliance in that regard, and then end June 2024? And then I would like to understand your support that, according to the order that was delivered by the High Court, and you are of the view that NERSA is the suspension. So those are the two things that at least I didn't get them very clear in your presentation, and just your support of the process itself. Thank you.
Thank you.
If maybe on the second question, to some extent, when you methodology that NERSA currently employs, and therefore that the process that is being undertaken now, do agree with it? Is your view with the court judgment? And if not, what alternative then are you putting should be the
deal with, if acceptable, Mr. Chair, I will deal with Madam Massetti's two questions. And my response to Madam Massetti's questions will address your concern. The 12-month suspension, that the suspension was for a period of 12 months from October 2022. So it runs until to determine tariffs for using the unlawful guideline before the end of October 2022, tariff will be lawful. So NERSA methodology, as it is seeking to do in this, to determine tariffs as it has done in the past, determination is restricted to the 23-24 tariff year. However, terms on the 23-24, that attempt is impermissible. A separate process is to be followed by the only methodology approved by NERSA is the current methodology. The bench approved that to send out a consultation paper parties, and then component is you may use the methodology to determine the 23-24 tariff. The second component is that methodology to comply with the judgment, that process is a separate process to the current. The second question is whether we support the current process compliance with the judgment, and the answer there is yes and no. Process that NERSA is proposing to use this process to comply with the judgment, the answer is no. To consult on a proposed process. I hope that clarifies the position. Our submissions are that it relates to insofar as the process being followed relative to, we believe that is permissible. I'm not making any comments about the limited nature of the concession, which other parties may have complaints about. So we're not dwelling there. It's obligation to develop a new methodology with the current process has to conduct a separate process, because the process is it does lack the.
My question, I think it's also adequately addressed, and will also appreciate your robust engagement. The 2024-25
Mr. Chair, just for clarification, do I understand that there is an intention on the part of NERSA alternative process for 24-25 for the new methodology?
Yes. Going to then proceed to have a presentation by University of Cape Town by Hauntibale, and then we'll then have Mkhululi Makwata from the CSIR for short. We'll then proceed to presentation by the Azanian Kena Kekeletso, George Bia, Nomasango Nama, Nontobeko Yawa. Then conclude the presenters. Please pardon me where I've observers Matlare Budibe, Louis Tembegile Kika, Munele Bongo, Malapane Tamaha, Ureka Mutlante, Jabu Rakwena, Mukoto Lisufi, Mfana Nene, Happy Ludidi, Lebuhang Patlele, Mariam Katwal, and Mako Network NPC, we've got Lifa, Raitohlane, and then from Ricardo Energy and Environment, we've got Sarisha and Leslie Ferrai, and then from Deutsche Gesellschaft van Internationale Zusammenarbeit, which is GIZ for short. We've got Ansuya Rungasami, Andreas Skank. These were just the registered observers, but we do appreciate that there are others that have joined this public hearing. On this score, we'll then proceed to Nodoba from the University of Cape Town. Organization AZAPO, so that we can just get to know who actually is going to present and we get them sewn in.
Chair, can I just quickly interject? This is Kekeleta from AZAPO. Comrade Bureka Motlante of AZAPO. Thank you.
Thank you very much. University of Cape Town, if they're still available. Mkhululi Makwata, please activate.
Let me for the presentation. Good morning, everyone. Let me just quickly.
But you must just take the oath first. Please raise your right hand and affirm the following and your designation therein.
My name is Mkhululi Makwata. I work for the.
You will then proceed with your presentation. We've got 15 minutes. Please assist us by just not necessarily reading every line there in your presentation, and keep to the times after your presentation. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Colleagues, can everyone see my presentation slide?
You may proceed, sir. Your
yes,
15 minutes starts now.
Right. Organization about the initiative, sustainability initiatives that we've executed over the years, and I'll also talk about the challenges that with regards to the current municipality structures, as well as the impact of the proposed in the wide area. So on for this presentation is for our main head office, which is located in Pretoria. Supply to the Pretoria campus is supplied by the city of Tshwane heavy distribution network with the step down the voltage to the required level to low voltage retic network internally. The tariff that we have, 51 cents per kVA for the demand, and for the energy it varies according to the peak standard and of peak. But now the initiative basically involved in terms of scientific research in a wide spectrum, covering geophysics, chemicals, mining, and so forth. So within our areas of our buildings, we've undertaken interventions on energy efficiency, renewable energy, to enhance the sustainability of our operation and keep the. So the active energy management and renewable initiative that we've done to date, solar, have generated approximately 3 gigawatt of electricity AC, and roughly contributed to a 10% of the electricity that would have otherwise been taken from the grid. And we've also done some other technology as part of energy efficiency program, and we've been very active on the awareness campaign to ensure that we manage the demand side and influence the public in that regard. So all these interventions, colleagues, with the National Energy Efficiency Strategy goals for the public sector institutions, and we view them as that the ease which is currently faced by the city due to the constrained generation capacity from the power utility ESCOM. We have a number of challenges. So if you look at the supply, so the country currently has of electricity, and we are encouraging people and companies to implement energy efficiency so that they can reduce the stress on the grid as a way to be sustainable. I draw this extract from the tariff booklet. The way this tariff works, if you don't consume beyond 10 MVA, you get penalized to a minimum of. Now, that presents some challenges in terms of seeing. I'll give you a context later in my presentation as to what it means on the financial perspective. We would think that a balance needs to be reached between optimal demand charge model, so that the municipality also have a revenue, that they are not destroyed by the intermediate, by the organizations. So what we looked at when you look at that particular tariff that have a minimum demand charge, that the municipality in consultation with NESRA, maybe they should consider customers to downgrade their network capacity if they have the capacity that is not, and penalize those who've got excess capacity that we've got the capacity use. For example, in our site, we've got the minimum value. So this is the because when we look at the industrial tariffs, there's not many of options that one can go to at that range from 11 kV to 132 kV. So the current it will have a negative effect to most business operations. There's number of drive of the current structures. It will actually make it worse. And we look at also in industrial sectors, they have invested in the diesel generators to ensure continuity or sense in terms of power supply against disruption that can occur in their operation. If 18% is imposed on top of that, that's blue, represent the demand that was drawn for this study for a full calendar period from profile. It means that this operation a network will be paying more, but this model will encourage these guys, because if you're operating in that pattern, the green graph here represent proposed energy efficiency as well as renewables. They will be able to drop in the near future, but if they are kept in the minimum demand, it discourages all the interventions that are initiated in the drive for sustainability.
Thank you very much, Mr. Makwakwa. Without any further ado, Madam Sibia.
Thank you, Chair. Enter Mr. Makwakwa. My question, are you aware that there is an agreed methodology for the multi-year compliance, and there was a court ruling with the methodology that was agreed for the
Madam Massetti?
A maximum demand charge. Do you think that it is still appropriate under these times of load shedding and the constraints that are faced by the distributors of electricity for the indication of demand? If in any event there's intensified load shedding, good is not in favor of the very same consumer.
Thank you, Madam Massetti. The benchmark itself, if you've got any reflections on that. And secondly, since this refers to tariffs and tariff structures, have you engaged the municipality by that? You may respond, sir.
Thank you, sir. Let me start with the first speaker. All mostly interrelated, the questions. So the first one talks to inflate against the proposed percentage increase, and as to how we understand the guidelines in terms we have for particularly in reference to this. So that's why in my initial engagement, I said these questions are kind of mostly related. We look at that because it's going to be very, very detrimental for those. We understand that it is factored in place and is taken into account to relook at these. I'm not sure if I've addressed the first speaker well, Chair.
How they need to comply with that.
Yes, okay. We are aware about that.
Okay.
Still paying the demand at these tough economic times. Yes.
Just respond to that, please.
So it is a difficult one because, like I said in the presentation, we need to strike a balance between the demand. It's a difficult one to say. It should not be paid. Client should be charged. Find out that their buildings are not fully occupied as it was in the beginning.